You know how we're always hearing about these 1,000-page bills getting passed in Washington? They feel like a total black box, right? These massive documents that change our lives, but honestly, who has the time to read them? Well, today, we're going to pry one of those boxes open and take a good look at what's actually inside.
And it's a great question, isn't it? They're packed with dense legal language, for sure. But they also have policies that can affect everything from your grocery bill to national security. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Think of this as a legislative unboxing. Let's see what we find.
Okay, so let's dive in. The bill we're looking at today has a title that's, well, it's pretty grand. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Its official name is HR1 Amendment 2848. And as you're about to see, it definitely lives up to the big part of its name.
All right, so let's crack this thing open. First up, we're going to look at the stuff that could really hit home for American families. The kinds of policies people sometimes call kitchen table issues.
Okay, right off the bat, we see some really specific changes to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which most of us just call SNAP. What this bill wants to do is tweak how food assistance works. It sets a new standard based on what a four-person family gets, and then adjusts everyone else's benefit as a percentage of that. And you can see, it changes quite a bit depending on how big your household is.
And then you find something like this, kind of tucked away in the agricultural section of all places, a pilot program to create what the bill itself actually calls Trump accounts. These would be special savings accounts, but only for kids born in a very specific 4-year window.
So what does that actually mean? Well, it's $1,000. For every kid who's eligible, the government would drop a one-time deposit of $1,000 into their account. It's technically structured as a tax payment, but it really just acts as a little nest egg from the government to get these accounts started.
Okay, let's keep digging. Next up, we're pulling out some items that deal with the wider economy. We're talking tax code changes for businesses, and even stuff that shapes the future of all our wireless gadgets.
Now, this is a big one for businesses. The bill would more than double the amount a company can write off for things like equipment in a single year, jumping from $1 million up to $2.5 million. This is a pretty standard way to try and get businesses to invest more, buy more stuff.
Then you've got this section directing the FCC to auction off radio frequencies. And if you're wondering what spectrum is, just think of it as the invisible highways that our cell phones and Wi-Fi use. The bill sets a really clear timeline for selling off this valuable resource to commercial companies.
And this is where it gets wild. Just to give you an idea of how incredibly specific these bills can get, check this out. There's a rule change for the taxes on meals. But not just any meals. Meals provided on fishing boats that are operating north of 50 degrees latitude, so basically off the coast of Alaska. I mean, it doesn't get much more targeted than that.
Okay, so we're going from fishing boats in Alaska to a topic you hear about pretty much constantly, border security. This bill sets aside billions and billions of dollars for all sorts of things related to homeland security.
First up, there's a chunk of money, $300 million to be exact, for the Office of Refugee Resettlement. And this money has a very specific job, to improve the background checks and vetting for adults who want to sponsor unaccompanied minors that have come across the border.
And then the number gets a lot bigger. A whole $5 billion is ticketed for customs and border protection. This is all about the physical stuff, building new facilities, leasing buildings, and upgrading checkpoints right there on the border.
And believe it or not, we're still not done. The bill pours in even more money. We're talking over $6 billion for new tech, like AI systems for inspections, another $2 billion just for retention bonuses and performance pay for personnel, and then almost another $1 billion for new vehicles.
So, let's take a breath. We've seen food assistance, business taxes, meals on fishing boats, and billions for border security. You're probably thinking, what on earth do these things have to do with each other? Why are they all jammed into the same bill?
I mean, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? On the surface, it makes no sense. It feels like someone just threw a bunch of completely random ideas into a blender. But there's actually a method to this madness. This is all done on purpose.
See, this isn't an accident. It's a very deliberate strategy. It's called an omnibus bill. The thinking is, in today's political climate, passing a bunch of smaller individual bills is next to impossible. So instead, leadership crams tons of different priorities into one giant take-it-or-leave-it package. Everybody gets a little something they want, which builds a big coalition of support, and it all comes down to a single yes or no vote. It's a powerful way to get things done, even if it's a little messy.
All right, so we've peeked inside this One Big Beautiful Bill Act.
After all that, what's the main thing you should walk away with here? What's the bottom line?
The most important thing to get is that this mashup of topics we just saw, it's not a bug, it's a feature. This is just how modern lawmaking works a lot of the time. These huge, sprawling bills are what you get after months of negotiations and compromises, where everybody's priorities get bundled into one single document that ends up touching almost every part of American life.
And all this really leaves us with one last big question to chew on. This omnibus strategy might be a good way to pass laws when everyone's divided, but what's the trade-off? When you have a bill that covers everything from food stamps to fishing boats to border walls, what gets lost in all those details? Does it make it almost impossible for us, the citizens, to keep track of what our government is actually doing?